while. I feel like we actually kind of needed one.
We need a win.
We really do. This Discovery shit is making me miserable.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Wednesday Night Gentlemen Multimedia Empire official podcast. You are listening to episode number 76. This is a show where we like to talk about things like comic books, movies, TV shows, video games, political discourse sometimes, but always Star Trek. I am your host, Tactic Angel, and with me is Midget Radio, my murderous socialist friend.
Hello,
Midget Radio. How are you today?
Doing well, Tactic Angel. How are you?
I'm pretty okay. I had a nap, and now I'm like brand new baby boy.
Does that mess you up when you try to go to bed then at night?
Oh yeah, later it's gonna be.
Yeah, you really pay
it's
for
gonna
it.
be terrible.
That sucks. Yeah.
Especially since I woke up like half an hour ago, and I was not sure when I fell asleep.
We just need to get older, I guess. Then you can take the nap and go to bed at an early hour.
You can just sleep all of your life away.
That's gonna be great.
That's I have goals, and that's on there. The other is having Arnold Schwarzenegger hair, like crazy person hair.
I feel like you could do it. That's so weird. You want Arnold Schwarzenegger's hair, and I want to look exactly like Sylvester Stallone when I'm set. I want to look exactly like he looks right now.
Damn it! How badass are we gonna be like when we're like 80?
I know.
And I've taken just like a whole bunch of steroids, and you've spent your life savings on plastic surgery. And
while we nap in lounge chairs, it's
So, sometimes we get some of the other geezers together, play some D&D. It'll be good times.
I fucking love it,
dude. Sitting there, probably have to resurrect the presidents, right?
Probably
sitting on the back porch.
Yep, probably.
That's a old man on the back.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a show where we talk about one of the things that we were talking about that we talk about in the intro. Good sentences all around. First, we're going to briefly hit on, I am drinking a delicious rye whiskey called Cody Road.
Ooh.
It is from Iowa.
Okay.
And I did not realize this, but it is apparently made with Illinois grains, because there was a sticker on it that said that, and I was like, man, if I knew that, I would never have bought this.
You live among Illinois grains, Tactic Angel.
I'm not so much against Illinois grains as everything else.
Okay. You're just taking it down on the grains.
Yeah, Otherwise, I got nothing. What do you have?
I'm drinking the Kilt Lifter. I got 2 bottles of Kilt Lifter with me. It is a Scottish style amber ale. It's a local brew from our Four Peaks Brewing Company out here. It's a super tasty beer.
Desert beer? I don't know about that. That doesn't sound right.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Okay, well, if you like it, and if I'm ever in,
definitely
in the area, I will have to sample the local flavors.
Most
Though, really,
definitely.
that's kind of a bad idea, because it's like, wow, this is a great beer. I wish I could buy it at my house, but I can't.
Yeah.
Shit.
You could just move out here. I don't know what's stopping you.
Not likely to happen.
I
Anyway.
understand.
Today is a momentous occasion. Dear viewer, if you listen to the original Wednesday Night Gentlemen Multimedia Empire podcast number 1, and I highly suggest you do not go back and do that.
No.
Then you would have heard us talk about this. The last time we talked about The Expanse was actually 60 episodes ago.
Man.
On this very show. This will make it almost, I don't know, man. We feel, if you go back and listen to those, minus like some far the entire beginning of this episode, we sound so much more professional now.
It's very true.
Than then. And we've actually never given The Expanse a rating.
Really?
Because apparently we didn't do that.
Huh. Okay.
for reasons, very intentional reasons.
Hmm.
I could explain it to you, but instead I will give you a synopsis of what The Expanse is. The Expanse is a near future-ish science fiction show where humanity has started to colonize the solar system. Of course, humanity naturally looks for an enemy, so the governments of Mars and Earth have adopted aggressive stances towards one another. Caught in the middle of this are some people living in the asteroid belt and beyond, called Belters. The Expanse follows the crew of the Rocinante and the UN Deputy General Secretary General, whatever her title is.
Yeah.
Midget Radio, why don't you catch us up on what your general feelings of The Expanse are, and then we can sort of talk about where we left off, which was in the middle of season 2, and we will be talking about season 2 second half and season 3 today.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think, yeah, as we spoke before about season 1, I mean, I think season 1 was, it was just amazing. Easily the best piece of science fiction television since BSG. Not only like was the environment, like the world building, was just top notch. But I mean, you can't beat Thomas Jane in season 1 of that show. So yeah, I super high on this show. I love it.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty spot on. I liked the early way that they sort of showed how space travel works and how you get into like really dangerous scenarios because of centrifugal force.
Yeah.
And you know, if things are not bolted down, they become projectiles no matter how mundane they are.
Yeah.
When you suddenly accelerate and suddenly decelerate.
Yeah.
Other than that, it has very, I want to say it has a very utilitarian world appearance. Like all the ships, they're not out there for the most part to look sexy.
Yeah.
The ships that are in space, other than a racer that we see kind of in this season, are out there in space, and they are boxes and squares and circles.
A lot of freighters, a lot of Volvos in space, basically.
They've got super structure. Oh, they're really more like, international harvesters out there. John Deere space hauling.
Space tractors.
So, I mean, real interesting, and they don't go like a lot of the times when people are comparing aesthetic, you'll look at something like Star Trek, which is very clean.
Yeah.
And then you have sort of on the other end is usually Star Wars, which has all sorts of, giblets and nonsense attached to it. So it looks more rustic.
Yeah.
But that always seemed sort of like we've just made this very busy so that it has detail and not necessarily functional. In this case, I think with The Expanse, you generally get the idea that there is a function behind these ships, and that's why they look the way they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. I think kind of the same mentality that sort of, I don't know, I feel like the show is just kind of overall very sort of pragmatic and utilitarian. Because I like how, like one of the things that I thought was just so brilliant in season 1 was just the way they treated these different, the sort of cultures that evolved on Earth, those that evolved on Mars, and then the sort of society that developed in the belt. Like it all just made perfect sense where a lot of these attitudes developed and why there's a conflict between these three sort of cultures. I particularly love that the Belters tend to grow taller because there's less gravity, obviously where they are, and that they find Earth's gravity painful to them. That they're a species that is almost itself alienated from its own home world. That would breed a kind of conflict between those on Earth and those in the belt. It's just brilliant. And then the kind of do-it-yourself attitude that most Martians seem to have, having colonized a world, and having it's just there's just a lot of thought put into that. And nobody, I don't feel like any, for a while in season 1, it kind of felt like the Martians were getting the short end of the stick. They were portrayed, I think, fairly stereotypically. But I don't know, the show's definitely doubled back on that. And it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't take a lot of cheap shots with, at least with its world development, which I really appreciate.
Well, yeah. And that's the thing about the Martians that I really love, because the first time you see Martians, they are, I mean, even in the first season, you kind of saw it. You saw the whole, well, these are, you know, typical space Nazis or whatever.
Right.
And then you start to see how the Martians interact with one another, and the fact that they are all so collectively driven.
Yeah.
But they are all very individual, and like it took me a while, but really the reason why I think I have completely learned to love the MCRN and the MMC characters that are in that's the Martian Congressional Republic Navy and the Martian Marine Corps. The reason why I came to love them is by the time you start to see the MMC in action in this, you're like, oh yeah, clearly the Martians are Starship Troopers.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, I mean, and it makes sense, because they're all oriented towards doing this thing for other Martians.
Yeah.
And they all seem to have like this lockstep thing, but every Martian is making their own decision.
Yeah.
It's a republic. They're not forcing their people. It's just
right.
They've reached the paradox where everyone is an individual and responsible for their own benefit, but they all collectively work together to better themselves.
Yeah, and it makes sense that sort of attitude would naturally develop amongst the people that had to colonize a world on their own. I mean, it's almost like I would expect to see much the same attitude in early settlers in America, you know, that those would be fairly tight-knit communities. And it's something that would naturally develop, I think. And they just do such a good job with it.
Yeah. I mean, there are hardly any Martian characters in this that I dislike.
Yeah.
Except for like the one dude who we see in the latter half of season 2.
Okay.
On Earth.
Okay.
And he's pretty much a dick. But
yeah, you're gonna have to, as we go through this series, because I finished watching season 3 a while ago.
Oh, fine. Well, I finished watching it this morning.
Good. So I will probably need a few refreshers here and there.
All right. Well, let's not try to break this down into spoilery and non-spoilery parts.
Yeah, it's been out long enough, I think. So
we'll just say Expanse in total, seasons 1 through 3. Why don't we give this a rating?
Okay.
And you can say where you started and where you finished, like season 1 versus season 2 or 3, or however you want to score it. In any case, we're using the old school 5-star Netflix scale.
Okay. I think like at the end of season 1, I probably would have been at like 4.5 stars. From there, I definitely went downhill in season 2, but season 3 kind of picked me up again. I'm probably at like 3.5 now overall.
Okay. I would say, yeah, I mean, I was definitely really high on season 1. I think such that I could understand anything that was said in that episode. Episode 1 of the Wednesday Night Gentleman. I would probably give it around a 4.
Okay.
I mean, I was real weary about the science fiction nonsense that was getting into it.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, I feel like the show isn't as good as it could be if it wasn't about that.
I know.
But at the same time, I am so enthralled by several of the characters and really like the showrunner's ability to, I mean, they will just drop new characters into this.
Yeah.
And they won't be like, okay, this is Bob.
Yep.
He's an ice road trucker. And here's his backstory. There's no, Tony Stark has to build the Iron Man suit. And,
right.
Peter Parker has to get bit by the spider again.
Yeah.
Great. It's just, all right, show starts. You're with a new character. Deal with it.
Yeah.
You have all these little slices of life that really do help, like what you said, the world building, but it's also interesting that they can make you care about all of these characters.
Yeah.
And I mean, the show, I mean, you said it in our last To Boldly Go Drinking. The new Star Trek is not a liberal show. Not a...
Yeah, no.
It is straight up identity nonsense and feelings.
Yeah.
And that's just bad. Like this one, you just watch it. There are people of every, race and creed and new creeds, because obviously you travel into space, you get new sort of cultural touchstones.
Yeah.
And so you have all these people and they're all working together. And you learn to like all of them. And actually, they're not even necessarily working together. Some of them are working against one another. And you learn to like them too. And it's... You show up for the hard sci-fi, you stay for the soft, and they just continue to do a really good job with their characters.
Yeah, they do.
I'd probably also put myself around 3.5. I mean, Alex and Amos both deserve a star by themselves.
Yeah. Yep.
And
yeah.
And even some of the new characters, like I really grew to love Prax.
Yeah.
And let's get into that. We'll get into the spoilery section. And I think the way to break this out is that essentially there are like 3 storylines since the last time we talked.
Okay.
And the first storyline that we get in order, and this is kind of the second half of season 1 or season 2, is Ganymede.
Okay.
So Tom Jane rides his pickup off the cliff.
Yeah.
With Julianne Mao.
Yeah.
And crashes into Venus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so the next thing that we really see is the Ganymede station thing.
Yeah.
Where we pick up here, there's some mirrors in orbit. They fall down on top of, this agricultural community.
Yeah.
And apparently nobody can figure out who owns this rock, because there are both Martians and UN people.
Yeah.
That just seems like a bad deal, man.
I mean, it does, but it's like, I don't know. That's kind of what I love about sort of how complicated the politics are in this show. Because it's not like Earth and Mars are enemies. You would think they would have, I mean, they are actually supposed to be allies, but yeah, I don't know. I love that like weird tension there.
I like that the Martians call all of the Earthers blues.
Yeah.
The blues, that is the UN.
Yeah.
So we kind of pick up on Ganymede. We have Prax, who's a farmer there.
Right.
And a mirror falls on his face.
Ugh,
and he's
and creates a nasty wound that we have to look at for a long time. But
yeah. Yeah. And so he is a brand new character, and we get to follow him. And like originally I was like, why? What?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And then they space his friend.
Oh yeah.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of it's just like what's happening on Ganymede. So we're following his storyline, and the crew of the Rocinante show up here just to kind of be like, yeah, we're going to help out. But of course it turns out to be a lot more than just that. And they see this guy, and he somehow gets attached to them, basically because I think he looks really fearful and he knows some stuff about some stuff that they need. And so the latter half of season 2 is all about this, and then we were introduced to Gunnery Sergeant Draper,
right,
who is a Martian Marine.
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of following her whole storyline, like what happened, because her team got their asses kicked.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I honestly, aside from the fact that there are now blue space monsters in this, I was still pretty okay with this storyline.
Yeah. No, me too. Everything other than the blue space monster. I mean, basically everything that wasn't directly about the proto molecule was great. Yeah. Everything that has to do with the proto molecule was tedious.
Well, so it definitely starts to seem like, and they really do hang a lantern on this a couple of times, and it's probably better that they do than that they don't. But it's just like, well, the proto molecule can change the rules. The proto molecule can do whatever it wants.
Yeah. So
don't even try to think about it. Yeah. Dear audience member.
Yeah.
Just when we're talking about the proto molecule, just, say, okay.
Yeah.
And, that's not great, but the characters are just so strong.
The characters are fantastic. Yeah. They're just fantastic that they could carry you through practically any plot line, I think.
Yeah. And the crew of the Rocinante, they just got off of this whole we saved the universe sort of kick. Yeah. So when they show up anywhere, you have, men slapping their backs and women slapping their thighs. And it's just great.
Yeah.
It's just great when we get to see them. And then you see the natural thing where, somebody's girlfriend tries to sleep with Alex. And
yeah.
And, you just have wonderful little interactions like that.
Yeah.
And that's really when I started to it's easy to forget how much I love Amos.
Yeah.
Because the guy is just constantly hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. Amos is awesome. And I love there's a little bit of like a bromance that develops between Amos and Alex as the show goes on, which I love it. I fucking love it.
Well, man, and this is kind of jumping forward into the next one, but also between Amos and Prax.
Yeah, Amos and Prax too. Yeah. Yeah.
And Amos is straight up a psychopath.
Yeah.
But he also has kind of like this glimmer of he has a weird sort of morality to him because he knows what's right and wrong.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
He just doesn't feel anything, and he has a super pragmatic.
Yes, he does.
A deathly pragmatic way of looking at.
Yes, he does.
At the world, and he's a fun character because you see these people around him, and they're having like these serious emotional problems with how do I deal with this stuff that's going on in my life.
Yeah.
And he's just like, this is the answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see that? And they'll be like, no, but feelings. And he'll be like, okay, but
yeah.
The bottom line is this is the right answer.
Yeah.
And God, I love everything about that. Anyway.
I know. I know. He's amazing. I know. They're amazing. Their character work is just, yeah.
Do you live here? I have a flop next door. Next door is a brothel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, let's not dress it up. He's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what don't you understand about this?
Yeah.
It's completely obvious. Oh
love
man,
it.
I just love it. And those two are super great. They carry you through most of the second half of season 2
Yeah.
by themselves.
They do a lot. I like now I also like Bobby quite a bit. I mean her arc, I think this is in season 2. Like her arc is fairly like it's kind of cliche, right? Cuz I think is it in season 2 where she's supposed to speak at Earth to like the UN and tell them exactly what happened on Ganymede.
So that's part of this storyline actually.
Okay.
Because it's like and honestly like this show understands how to make a wide arcing storyline better than most.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Well, I think they're based on books. That probably does help, but somebody's actually thought this out, but
Well, yes, but at the same time, like you can look at a show like Game of Thrones,
yeah.
and maybe this is a show that's maybe better to compare to a Game of Thrones like show than to a Star Trek Discovery,
Yeah.
which clearly no one is thinking about.
No plan and yeah.
But it does not suffer from the sort of problem that the Game of Thrones it suffers from, where you can describe the entire goings on of a season inside of a paragraph.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have that glacial thing. It's actually moving along at a pretty good clip.
Yeah.
And they're picking up a lot of, ancillary characters along the way that you learn to like and feel good or bad for, depending on. I mean, even in the Ganymede thing, there is. I don't know if he has a name, but I shall call him Man with Stick.
Okay.
The guy who's trying to keep people off of the freighter that only has enough air.
Oh yeah.
For 50 or 60 people. And like he starts to feel like an actual character.
Yeah.
I think he has like 4 lines.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. Yeah. Yeah, and it's because they don't tend to they don't cheapen those kind of scenes. Could you imagine watching that on Star Trek Discovery? How much crying there would be? How much crying, like literally every character would be just, and it would be like in slow motion. And I mean, they just.
Well, and they're also showing us characters that we like who are flawed characters.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not going to be like Michael Burnham's not going to walk in and be like, guys, I can save everybody. Here's how. Just listen to me.
Because like, okay, our favorite characters in this are probably, Amos and Alex. And
yeah.
And if Tom Jane was still around.
Oh, yeah.
Not one of these characters is without flaws. In fact, they have plenty of flaws that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
And that I don't know, if you're a really moralizing asshole about the whole thing, like you would look at these characters and you're like, Amos is a terrible person. Yes, Amos is a terrible person.
Yeah.
He's also great. And he's a good person at times. Alex is clearly a better dude, but he's he's not willing to commit to a lot of things, and he runs away from his family.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
And he feels intense guilt about that, but it's like, I'm supposed to be out here. That's what I do, and I'm sorry that I wasn't a better husband and a better father.
Yeah.
Jim Holden remains kind of a little bit of a.
Yeah. I don't want to do good, but I just keep doing it, kind of.
Well, in the context of what I'm talking about, Jim Holden is a character, particularly in the latter half of season 2, who is still very much trying to fly the banner of White Knight.
Yeah.
But he's just getting so angry.
Yeah.
that he wants to hurt people.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, the only other person we have on that ship is Naomi Nagata, and she does just a mind-bogglingly stupid thing.
Yeah.
Which is a large part of most of the plot of the second season.
Yeah.
And like, we have all these characters. They're all flawed. We follow them. We like them.
Yeah.
And that's just good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Bobby ends up sort of defecting to the United Nations.
Yeah.
And that's kind of at the latter half of season 2, I think, or maybe the very beginning of season 3. In any case, it's part of that whole Ganymede plot.
Yeah, because Mars basically wants her to lie about what she saw, about what happened on Ganymede, that her people got killed by blue space monsters.
Well, that's understandable.
Yeah, it's understandable. Yeah, she's like, fuck that, no. And then I think, right, there's some component of that like she had already said something about that, and she had to admit to just, I don't know, maybe I was stressed out or something, and she just didn't want to compromise. Actually, the thing that I actually really liked during that arc was just that one, I think it was just that one episode where she was in the UN building, or she was in a hotel or something like that, and she really wanted to go see the ocean on Earth.
It's a consulate.
Yeah.
Mars.
That's right. That's right. I liked that a lot. She just wanted to like break out and just like go take a fucking walk in Earth's gravity, which is a real pain in the ass, apparently. And just go, like, that was just a nice little, it's just a nice little character piece. Like, she's dealing with this fucking speech that she's got to give to the UN that she doesn't want to do.
Well, she's already gotten in trouble for it.
Yeah. And she just wants to take this fucking break and go see this thing that she's wanted to see. It was just, I just liked that a lot. I don't know. It's just like, you'd fucking do it, Bobby. Take a goddamn break and do something for yourself. Like,
well, it's also like, for you, a person who's like really into world building.
yeah,
We are getting to see in that episode a lot about what has Earth become with this big, top-down bureaucracy. And
yeah,
like, so much of what we've seen so far about Earth is, how is the UNN, the United Nations Navy, or, Secretary Avasarala, like,
yeah.
what kind of life do they live? Well, they live a very, good life,
Yeah,
because they're at the top.
Yeah, very comfortable.
But then you have like a lot of suffering and misery on Earth, and you see the people on the streets, and they
bunch of street peddlers and stuff. Yeah,
and kind of, it's interesting because you have the Martian, who's very much the outsider, but by this point you're starting to understand them.
Yeah,
Talking to, street folk on Earth, and you really feel for them. And then also you're getting a sense that, like, some of the solutions that Mars have might work here.
Yeah.
And sort of the top-down approach that at the UN, that's bad for people.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's nice because naturally you as the viewer are like, go Earth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Earth must win because I am from there.
I suppose, yeah.
I want to be on the blue team, not the red team. So, no, I loved that episode as well. Even though I don't think that most windows are so precariously installed.
Yeah, she got out of there pretty easily, but but yeah.
But yeah, Bobby runs around. I actually, I kind of found her character to be pretty tedious at first.
Me too.
For a long time.
Me too.
But so then we kind of move past that, and we'll call the next part of the storyline the quest to reunite May and Praxidine.
Yeah.
Whatever. He has a long name. They call him Prax.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Prax works, yeah.
So after the crew more or less wrap up the Ganymede plot, they realize that they need to go other places. plus the whole space station is fucked. It collapses essentially, and they're going to have to start over, I guess, on Ganymede. They're looking for May.
Yeah.
And she's been secreted away to a Jovian moon so that scientists can do evil science stuff.
Yep.
First of all, I love that they said Jovian moons.
Yeah, okay.
So I had to throw it in there.
That's cool.
But this starts to get into the heavy politics section where we see a lot of Avasarala, who I don't actually like that much.
I like her. I like her well enough. But she's kind of just I don't know. I liked her in season 1 because I don't know, because she felt like a fucking realist to me. I like that she would make compromises, mostly that scene with that fucking belter that they were pretty much torturing. But in this, she becomes more of a crusader, and it's just less interesting to me.
Well, yeah. So they take her out of the element where she'd be able to perform well.
Yeah.
And I would say that if she's just walking around talking like a diplomat, she generally comes across as okay. I remember a couple of times where it's just the actress does not have the grasp of English to pull this off. I mean, there's some really fucking weird lines. So this backs up a little bit. When she is, talking to Bobby Draper, when they're doing the whole back and forth, the sort of hearing that they have at the UN.
Yeah.
It's at some point, one of the Martians asks, "Where is this line of questioning going?" And she says something like, "Wherever the goddamn hell I want it to." And you're just like, what was that? Could we do that over again?
I mean, it's been a while. I don't remember having an issue.
But then, I understand what you're saying about the Crusader thing, because she also goes on some sort of megalomaniacal rant about what are they going to do with Jules Pierre Miles' family. It's I'm going to come for your, you can turn yourself in and that's going to be cool. And we'll,
yeah,
you're not going to be poorly treated. But if you do not come here immediately, then I am going to freeze your assets. I'm going to go after your family. I'm going to kill your dog.
Yeah.
I'm going to key your car. I'm going to do everything to make your life a living hell, and a living hell for everybody that you know and love. And I'm going to do this because I work at the UN.
Yeah.
And, we can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah. I mean, that's all right with me in general, just because that's a bad dude that she's talking to. Who's super wealthy and can do and incredibly powerful and can do whatever the hell he wants. So I don't have necessarily an issue with that. The problem is that what she's doing isn't necessarily I don't find it all that particularly questionable, because she's talking to basically straight evil. That he's not a good guy, he's not a good guy. So there's no gray area there.
I mean, if it's kind of if you go back to the, I was going to say the Punisher, but it's the Punisher season 0, also known as Daredevil season 2.
Yeah.
Would it be right for the Punisher to intentionally inflict harm and suffering on the mobster's kid?
Right. Yeah.
And that's essentially what she's saying that she's willing to do. And I get why she's trying to do it. And I'm not trying to say, here's the thing. I don't know if right or wrong is a thing that in this case, it makes a lot of sense to be talking about.
Yeah.
Because firebombing of Dresden, was it the right thing to do? Probably not.
Right.
Did it win the war? Yes.
Right.
So if you're talking about sort of an existential threat, then the lesser of two evils is probably still the correct answer.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get hung up on like what she's doing. Yes, what she's doing isn't right, but she's doing a bad thing to a bad person.
Yeah.
So, and she's willing to inflict collateral damage too.
Yeah.
Not so great, but you know, if it makes the bad person not do a bad thing, I guess you could argue
Yeah.
that there is some value there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to get that out there. You can continue with your train of thought.
No, that's it. I mean, that's it. Like I think the whole issue just suffers from he's trying to put blue stuff into kids to make soldiers, you know, and like none of that is interesting to me.
No, yeah, I agree. And so they end up on one of the Jovian moons, and Dr. Strickland's there, and Jules Pierre Mao gets there, and Mao sort of starts bonding with May.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And actually at this point I was like, oh, this actually kind of makes sense, because I was like, okay, like the Fens were conspicuously, obviously, of Asian descent. And I was like, okay, I kind of feel like this choice was intentional. And when you get to that point, you're kind of seeing it, because when he looks at May, he can more readily identify with, like, my daughter. Like, this child reminds me of my daughter. And then you see him say, let's shut down the project because what we're doing is wrong. We're hurting children. And I thought that would have been kind of a nice sort of turn for the character. But then he turns right back around again.
Because it's working. Yeah. No, it's working. We're making a lot of progress here. So, fuck it. Yeah, put the blue shit in her. I wasn't a big fan of any of that.
Yeah, the whole blue person thing doesn't really work, because like you get to the end of it and it's just like, what is exactly the purpose of this?
Yeah.
Like I clearly see that you want it to be a weapon, but like having this kid who's half transformed into a monster, a glowing monster, banging on the tube that he's in to try to get out.
Yeah.
I don't get what a huge success out of that scene.
I know, yeah. Not sure how you control that and then, I don't know, point it in the right direction. But yeah, it just it's the like bullshit science fiction aspect of this show that's the least interesting part of it. This sort of space fantasy crap. And you're like, yeah, all right, fine. Blue soldier, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. But honestly, like that part of the show sets up one of the best scenes that I think is in The Expanse so far.
Okay.
So Prax and everybody ends up on the station.
Mm-hmm.
And they find the kids. Dr. Strickland betrays the other doctor that he's with.
Yeah.
And then Prax is like, this is my friend. Oh, he says actually almost basically, this is Amos. He is my very best friend in the whole world. Yeah. And I love the look that Amos just gives him. Yeah. And it's not like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like that he has just accepted this like unfathomable reward.
Yeah.
And then the kids walk off and he backs Dr. Strickland into the airlock.
Yeah.
And then you just see the hand come over the guard or the slide for the pistol, and he says, "That's not you."
Yeah.
Amos says to Prax, "That's not you." And he sends Prax on his way. And then the airlock closes. It's like, "Thanks for saving my life."
Yeah.
And Amos turns around and he's like, "I am that guy." And you're just like, I thought that was great.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that scene. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it says a lot about, you know, Prax, and it also says a lot about Amos.
Yeah. It's easily something you could see the Punisher doing.
Yeah, the Amos has a lot in common with
He
the
really
Punisher.
does. He really does.
And if they announce a new Punisher movie and they're like, Wes Chatham is playing Frank Castle, you'd be like, yes.
I'm down.
I am.
Absolutely.
Okay. Wes Chatham does a freaking great job. Anyway.
Yeah.
But like, we see this again, like the weird sort of like morality that Amos has.
Yeah.
Because kind of at the closing of the next storyline, what is her name? Anna Voladivod.
Oh, she's like the speechwriter sort of character.
Yeah.
Yeah, the priest speechwriter, I guess.
She says something like really like tender to Amos and really moral and whatever. And all Amos can say to her is, I promise you that I will not let them hurt you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can tell that he's totally impressed with this lady and that he is a bad person and he knows he's a bad person.
Yeah.
But he wants to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Just love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. I actually really don't like Anna as a character. But I really, really like that interaction with them. And then because of that scene, I was like, shit, now I kind of like her. Like, just because she I see like what Amos sees in her, you know, and just seeing her through like Amos's eyes, you're like, okay, now I'm kind of on board a little bit too.
Yeah. I mean, Anna's character is fairly tedious.
Yeah.
And it's because she's a protester, and even if you are on the side of protesters, it's often hard to like the people who are doing that.
They're just, yeah.
I actually kind of find her character a little bit interesting because if you start to try to dissect her character along modern political lines, there's like clearly a bunch of stuff that's leftist nonsense. and then there's also right-wing nonsense too. And it's interesting because her character does seem entirely consistent.
Yeah.
But if you look at it in the sense that, you know, you and I talk about politics sometimes, her character makes complete sense. She has mostly left-wing, but some right-wing ideals. And it demonstrates in that character, because she is so well developed, she's so three-dimensional, that she has all these ideas. And it shows the unholy unions that we have today, where it's like people drawing straight lines between whether you believe in gun control and abortion. And you're just like, these ideas literally have nothing to do with one another.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think she's a tedious character, but she does serve a purpose, and I really do love that interaction with Amos.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
So anyway, we kind of skip past most of the reunion with May and Prax. Honestly, there's the first half of season 3 I thought was just stellar.
Yeah.
And that's really where the crew moved to, like, they're like, we have to go to this place to try to find this guy's daughter. You know, I told him we were going to find it. It's the only thing that I know is right.
Yeah, I like how simple that motivation is for the entire crew. I enjoyed that a lot. We made a promise to this fucking dude, and that's what we're going to do.
And we may have kind of deceived him a little bit to get him on board.
Yeah.
But here's the truth, dude, and we're still gonna own up to our half of the bargain.
Yeah.
Because proto-molecule, I don't know, but saving your daughter, definitely a win.
Easy call
for the universe.
Yeah.
a small win.
Yeah.
But then I mean, like, that gives Prax a good scene too, because like they were willing to let the people who are evacuating Ganymede Station kind of whatever happens to them happens.
Yeah.
And then they turn to him and they say, this is the guy. We're going to save his daughter. We promised him that.
Yeah.
But then they interject themselves into that whole evacuation of Ganymede Station thing, because Prax was like, realistically, my daughter is probably dead.
Yeah.
And this is a thing that we can do to help lots of people. I can't be that selfish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a great moment for him.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
I really like that guy.
Yeah, me too. He knows a lot about plants.
He does. He kind of spruces up the Rossi a little bit.
Yeah.
We call them Prax pods. We clearly weren't thinking that like they needed to survive more than 1G.
Yeah.
But I mean, we get so many like great little things where like you just see Amos helping to train Prax and how to shoot a gun.
Yeah.
And the first time he's running around with a gun, he looks like a person who has never
not quite comfortable
a firearm, much less not even played a first person shooter really. Cause at least you could kind of like mimic the motion, right?
Yeah.
That was actually kind of the weird thing about shooting a gun. You're like, actually, I think playing video games does make me better.
I think it does too. Yeah.
I can see the straight line between those two things. And this is also kind of when we see Bobby Draper come into her own, because she's kind of the beginning of this arc is Avasarala goes to Mao's ship with Kotyar, who is another character that I absolutely love.
I like him too. Yeah.
And I was sad to see him die.
Me too. Me too.
But I mean, he's another imperfect character.
Yeah.
He's clearly a scumbag.
Yeah.
I love how Bobby and Kotyar are like, we need to do this, Marine. And she's like, I understand, spy.
Yeah. I like that too.
But like, once Bobby gets into her power armor, you're like, yes, I understand why the MMC are full of badasses.
Fuck yeah.
Because they are fully Starship Troopers.
Yep.
Like if you read the book Starship Troopers, not so you got thrusters and mag boots and mag hands and a grenade launcher and honestly a wrist mounted machine gun is not like super useful unless you have like a scope that's automatically hooked in and like heads up displayed inside your helmet. I'm sure that's what's happening.
Probably.
But like once she's in the power armor, she's in her element, she's kicking ass, she knows what to do.
Yeah.
And that's all good stuff. And we see more of that when she gets onto the Jovian moon and she essentially sacrifices herself, even though she survives it.
Yeah.
To just get the stupid blue space person away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I liked all of that.
Yeah.
They seem like they need better batteries in those suits.
They probably do. Yeah. They probably do. Yeah. I feel like that did not last very long. But it was a cool chase. I did actually like that chase quite a bit.
Yeah.
They like falling all the way down to the fucking ground. Like that was pretty cool.
Well, anytime you see the Martian Marines, they're doing cool
Yeah.
shit. You got a low G fight there, so that, you know, when they're running around,
Yeah.
they jump huge distances, and
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And there's so much stuff that they feel like they just don't have to show in this show. Right?
Okay. Like what?
Because, like, I mean, like, you get several instances where you just cut into a situation and you're like, well, clearly something has gone wrong here because everybody's fighting.
Yeah.
And they really don't show the whole, how did Bobby Draper get messed up when she, you know, falls down and then the blue space monster gets on top of her again. But, like, you understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff that's happening off screen.
Yeah.
And we don't need to see it all.
Yeah, true.
And this show does a really good job of showing and not telling.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it really does. It really does.
I just like it. I love the characters. I just don't love the plot.
I know. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too. But I love that, like, the show has the tendency to use characters to, like, introduce the plot, and I like that approach. Like, and I'm thinking specifically of, I mean, that's basically how we get Bobby, the storyline as to what went on Ganymede, and that's our introduction in a lot of ways to Martian culture. I like how they introduce those things, even if I don't so much like what they introduce, which is proto-molecule, blue people army. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I feel like there's at least two other things we need to discuss. One that I'm kind of interested in, which was Naomi, and just dealing with Naomi.
So I was thinking a lot about Naomi because, like, honestly, like, I understand when I say I love Amos.
Yeah.
I love Alex. I think Kotkier is a great character.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to look through this list and I'm like, what? Why is this the Star Trek misogyny? Why don't I absolutely love any of the female characters in this? And
well, there is one that I love.
Which one do you love?
Drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the fucking in the belt. I love her. I fucking love her.
I like her well enough. And I think in the next section, which is the third section of the plot, she definitely comes into her own in a number of ways.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's not top tier character for me. She's
pretty
like,
single-minded.
Yeah. And part of the problem is she's going up against Strathern, and
I know David Strathern's just God.
And you just want to root for Ashford because you're like, that's David Strathern.
I know, and he's awesome in everything he does.
And yeah.
Oh my God, though, I think it was like really when the mutiny occurred on the Behemoth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once they overthrew the mutiny, just her fucking, oh my God, her bloodlust at that point. Like,
well,
I can't fucking believe you do that. Oh, I love her. She's just such a strong character, and I feel like she's
Tycho
like,
Station.
Was it Tycho Station? Because I thought they were on the Behemoth, right? And it gets like, there's some kind of fucking mutiny.
When they take the command center.
Yeah.
And she gets shot.
The bridge.
And
yeah.
No, that was Tycho Station.
Okay.
And then as they're dragging her off, she just executes that
Yes, fucking awesome.
So I think this reflects a dark part of your personality.
No. Fuck that fucking guy, man.
No, I understand that, but
she is awesome. Like you can't keep that bitch down. And I love that aspect of her character. When she's like laid up, she's got like a broken spine, right? And
yeah.
Fuck it. I'm just gonna jump into this bottom half of this power armor, I guess. It's gonna fucking work. It's gonna be fine. Like
yeah, I can't afford to be laid up.
Yeah.
I have to get out there. I mean, like that was a really, really positive thing for her character.
Yeah.
That said, like, there's a part of me that really appreciates the pidgin English of the Belters.
Yep. Yeah.
And then the other part of me, which is an authoritarian grammar Nazi, just cannot stand listening to it. It's like the noun-verb agreement here is is miserable.
Yeah.
Like it's worse than Tactic Angel after a whole bottle of whiskey. I'm not actually sure that's true. I've never drank that much in a day, but like when they're going back and forth between Strathern and her several times, I actually really thought that was a redeeming scene.
Yeah.
And it kind of let me read the bit and we can talk about the third section of this plot.
Okay.
Which is the ring.
Yeah.
So a ring appears because a ball rises out of Venus and sets up around Jupiter, I guess, or somewhere. It's a giant.
Did it actually go all the way to Jupiter?
It was way out there.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think so. I'm not sure. Anyway, so a hipster, it was because it was a rock hopper who.
Yeah.
So a hipster flies his pod into it and Spaghetti-O.
Yeah. That was another like, why are we looking? What are we doing with? Who the fuck is this? Like,
yeah. This guy is trying to impress his girlfriend.
Right, which I do kind of enjoy because she's like seeing somebody, she starts like seeing somebody else or whatever. His
brother.
His brother, that's right. You're like, what the hell is this? Why am I watching this?
And he walks by in the little G-string thing.
Yeah.
You're just like,
yeah.
What's this guy in a banana hammock? Like,
fucking weird scene.
What do you make for that? It's like, I'm going to need you to go to the gym for a few weeks and then wear this and just say, oh, see you soon, brother. So anyway, since the national pastime of the Belt, Earth, and Mars is to amass warships next to strange things.
Yeah.
Everybody's out there. It's a powder keg. And yeah, I mean... I will put this straight out there. The part of this plot that I do not understand is everyone like, let's go into the ring.
Yeah.
Because after the Rossi goes in and it's clearly suicide, everybody else is just like, oh, we can go in there.
Yeah. Yeah. There's part of me, like, I don't know. There's part of me that still kind of understands it within the context of this show. Because there are still all these competing interests. And it's like, well, I'm not going to let them fucking go in there and not know what the hell's in there and get whatever cool shit's in there that I won't get to have. Like,
yeah, what if the treasure chest is there?
Exactly. So, I mean, to a certain degree, it makes sense. I do want to just point out real quick, it's really cheap. But man, when that fucking, like, when that race car driver face plants into the fucking ring, holy shit. That was brutal. Like, my God.
Strangely, he becomes so not human so quickly that it's not actually that gross to me.
Yeah. Damn.
And that's like one moment, dude. Next moment,
yeah.
Spaghetti-O.
Yeah.
Spaghetti-O.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, he was not a very well fleshed out character, but you kind of got it, and it was nice to see the little
Yeah. I mean, I
I
felt
like
bad for him. Like, that's what's so great about the show, because I did kind of feel bad for him. I was like, oh man, he's just trying to impress his girl, and now fuck. Like,
he's just some idiot in his 20s.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was in my I was really smart for a 20-year-old, but everybody else was an idiot. That's how it went.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like that, and it goes back to the little people that you meet along the way.
Yeah.
Sadly, Prax works his way out of the plot for this.
Yeah.
But it makes it feel like supernatural.
Yeah, it did. It is. Yeah, it really is.
Man, I bet the subtitles for YouTube make that one word, supernatural, not like especially natural.
Yeah.
But like the ship of lovable rogues is kind of the science fiction trope.
Yeah.
Like number one.
Yeah.
And so if this was a show that was like, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, viewer, don't get angry at me in the comments, but like Firefly, you have people on that ship and it's a bunch of lovable rogues.
Yeah.
But their relationship to one another and why they stick together maybe doesn't make a whole ton of sense.
Yeah.
Right? But like it's the function of the show. It's how you wrote in the 90s for sure.
Yeah.
And it works. It was good. It was fun.
Hell yeah.
If he had stayed around, you'd have to wonder, like, why isn't he spending time with his daughter?
Yeah.
And that makes this feel more realistic.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
Because he's probably like, I'm just going to grow some plants and like enjoy my time with my daughter and try to find her a pediatrician who doesn't want to murder her.
Right. Yeah. Hard to come by these days.
So like, yeah, when you have the belter who's just trying to impress his girlfriend, or like the married couple who owned the ship that was going to help try to like evacuate stuff from Ganymede.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Like the only one that really didn't make sense is the guy who invented the drive.
Yeah.
Because they had a voiceover for him and he's like telling you his story in past tense.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did he record any of this if he fucking died?
Yeah. That's true. That's true. I forgot about
Don't
that
think
too.
I didn't notice people writing the show. That was a fumble.
I'm
not saying it's unforgivable. It was a fumble.
Yeah. I mean, when you write a show this well, you know, you make a few mistakes along the way. It's not a big deal.
Well, for the most part, like, and we're talking about this over and over again, they keep doing well by their characters.
Yeah.
And that'll keep you watching the show.
It goes such a long way.
So, I mean, like, if we talk about Infinity War, I don't really think Infinity War is a very good movie in terms of a movie that I would want to watch.
Yeah.
Does Infinity War take good care of its characters, though?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
It has an unbelievable number of them.
Yeah.
And it takes good care of, I think, just about every one of them.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So no matter who you go in rooting for, whether you're, you know, a good American right-thinking person who loves Captain America,
right,
or whether you're some fucking weirdo who likes Spider-Man, like you come out of that and you're like, yeah, they treated my character well. Now, if you're a Spider-Man fan, maybe you didn't like how that ended, but
what does it matter?
If you're a Spider-Man fan,
there's another movie.
Who cares?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they're just gonna I'll tell you why. He's gonna come back for the money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you take good care of your characters, then people can remain invested even if the plot isn't super great.
Yeah.
And they definitely do that. And even moving into this, even though it doesn't make a ton of sense, though I like your explanation for why everybody jumps into the ring.
Yeah.
It also sets up like some really interesting interactions between, you know, the MCRN, the UNN, and the Belters
Yeah.
with their brand new. Now, granted, when I see somebody who's converted a cathedral ship into a warship, I think, well, that's nonsense. Because like a generation ship would have to be built differently than a warship, right?
I mean, you would think so, but then a
Like-
generation ship, you would think it's got to have some kind of fucking defenses on it, but
Yeah,
what you're
you
gonna
would
run into.
assume that it would have some ability to defend itself, but at the same time, like, it's not going to be pulling high G turns
Yeah.
a lot. It's not going to be doing the sort of things that we see
yeah,
the Donager doing
Right.
in
right,
the close quarters episode.
yeah,
So in a way, that the only reason why it's respectable is because it's huge.
yeah,
And that said, you know, the Titanic's a lot bigger than a Navy destroyer, but I'll tell you which one's going to win in a fight.
sure.
You can strap as many 6-inch guns to the deck of that thing, and it's not going to change that outcome one bit.
No,
Even with depth charges, probably
Yeah.
not. Anyway, this is getting too much into World of Warships.
oh god.
Gotta drive them boats. But anyway, they're all in there, and I kind of love. I love the sort of back and forth between Drummer and Ashford.
Yeah,
And like, that's great. And it makes Ashford seem like less of a fucking douche, right?
yeah,
Only for him to become a douche in the next episode.
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I thought his motivations became a little bit thin.
They
towards the
did.
end, and
Yeah,
And-
I just want control. Yeah.
you have to understand, if you had kids, that you have to blow up circles.
Yeah. yeah. It's a little
I didn't.
I
Think
mean,
it-
there's
I
a
didn't-
part of me that, like, I don't know. There, because the show is as well written as it is, it like allows you to kind of try to find some justification for some of these character decisions. And you can find it, I think, in there if you think hard enough. He's a belter. The belters are largely xenophobic anyway.
Everybody is.
Yeah, everybody is to a certain degree, but definitely out there in the fucking belt where they are literally are completely on their own. So yeah, I mean, it just, to a point, it's like, well, I get it. Fuck it. Nobody gets to have it. 'Cause, you know, I sort of like that. And actually the thing I wanted to say with respect to Naomi, I think like what's frustrating about her character is that like it's not completely irrational. Like the idea, if Mars has the proto molecule, right, and Earth has it, it totally makes sense for someone to think, well, fuck it, then the belt needs it too. Especially for a belter to think that.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to like the mutually assured destruction path, it has.
It's perfectly reasonable. I think what's just so frustrating about it is that she made that decision unilaterally and then spent the rest of the time basically being a whiny bitch about it. Like, and that's what was kind of annoying about it. It's like you betrayed the people that are closest to you, to make this really wide-ranging decision that's gonna have like long-term effects on the, like, I don't want to say geopolitical, so I guess maybe solar political environment. And you did that like all on your own, and then you just kind of, I don't know. There was just something sort of annoying about, there's just something kind of annoying about her character. And then I'm gonna go be a belter.
Yeah,
But
that's
then
the thing.
not really, you know.
They kind of repair that, right? By the end of, kind of interesting about this show is that like it functions in full season arcs, but it's kind of half of the storylines are straddled on either side.
It's true. Yeah.
Which is actually probably a good idea if you want to get renewed, but didn't quite work.
I guess not. It's sci-fi. What the fuck?
Whatever. They canceled the last Strathern thing.
They did. Dicks. Yeah.
Man, that's unforgivable. That was the best X-Men version I've ever seen.
I mean, yeah.
So anyway, this is what I was kind of alluding to with the, like, I like the male characters in this probably on average better than the female characters, because so much of the stuff you get with this show is, I don't really love Avasarala because I don't think when she's not doing Machiavellian scheming that she's all that interesting.
Okay.
And then you have Naomi, and Naomi betrays the orders of her captain.
Yeah.
Everybody agreed with it.
Yeah.
Except for her, and she did whatever she wanted.
Yeah.
She eventually manages to, like, make up with everybody, or at least stick around for one last fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she goes to be the chief engineer on the Behemoth.
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I want to go back.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, that's
bitch,
what's kind of annoying. It's like weirdly
you have to deal with the
indecisive.
consequences of your actions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You cannot just leave a military whenever you want.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I get it. It's, her character is overly emotional and floats around too much.
Yeah.
And like,
I liked her in the beginning, and it would be more like I would have respected her more, I think, if she was like, fuck it, this is what we're going to do because I'm a goddamn belter. I'm not going to leave my people high and dry when I've got an opportunity to give them the thing that Earth and Mars already have. And that's what I'm going to go fucking do. And it's like, if you stick with that, then it's like, well, yeah, bitch, now I get where you're coming from. Like, you did a thing that you believed in. And so now you're going to go to the Behemoth and serve that ship and serve Drummer, because that's what you fucking believe in. But then it's like, no, I don't know. I just miss my friends. And it's like, well, I mean, I get that too, but goddamn. Like,
well,
it's just wishy-washy, you know?
Well, Alex says this kind of perfectly when she starts trying, bitching about like, oh, I'm a belter and whatever. And this is why I did the thing I did. And he says essentially to her, and this is really why his character is better than hers. He's like, hey, when we'd agreed to do this other thing, I said we should do something else because, I'm from Mars and I feel this way. Yeah. And nobody else felt that way. So we did the thing that, Jim said that we had to do. Yeah. And you basically did whatever you wanted. Yeah. And that's why you're a piece of shit. Now, I don't dislike this character. No,
neither do I. Yeah.
I just find her often, to say it again, tedious and confusing, and somebody just needs to like get some reality into this character somehow, because you have to deal with the consequences of your actions. Your decisions have weight. Yeah. Particularly in this sort of completely unrealistic context.
Yeah. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
But it comes together, and like to compare this to other modern sci-fi shows.
Sure.
Like, there is objectively a pretty real amount of drama in this. Yeah. But it very rarely feels like it tilts over into just melodrama.
No. No.
How do I say to a person who fights every moment of their lives to prove that they are so completely unerringly right? And how do I deal with like I feel fear and I just don't feel like I should be able to feel fear around someone who's as angelically perfect as you. God damn it.
I know.
But like I mean that's okay, this show feels very other than Avasarala, when they start dropping F-bombs and
oh yeah,
and the dirty language.
Yeah.
I feel like they earn it.
Yo, totally. It feels natural. Yeah.
And it's not just tacked on.
No.
It's like
it's not for shock value. I can't believe they said that. Oh goodness. Like yeah.
I mean, like there are times where you're like, okay, on network television, they would be like, well, that's a bunch of garbage, man. And it's like, yeah, on this one, they're just going to be like, man, that's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not just tacked on.
No.
It's not there for the shock value or can you believe that they said fuck on a Star Trek episode?
I know. No, it comes from someplace real. And yeah, the show's just built a setting around itself. And it's done that with such authenticity that that it feels completely natural.
Yeah. I just love the characters on this show.
I do too.
So much.
I do too. I did swing around a little bit on some of the like dopey sci-fi stuff by the end. I am kind of a little bit into the Ring. I do like that it's apparently some sort of repository from some ancient alien race that I don't know has all the fucking knowledge in the world or something like. But I've always been like kind of attracted to the sort of like the space archaeology storylines, you know, like the Iconians in Star Trek. Like I love the idea of there being some like ancient race that's practically mythological in nature that died out millennia ago. I don't know. I've always been kind of like that stuff just kind of gets me a little bit just because I think it's cool. But so I've kind of swung around on it, and I feel like it's less about the fucking proto molecule, and now it's about there was a different culture out here, and it was trying to whatever reach out to other cultures, but something happened to it. Like, all right, this is at least a little more interesting to me than there's a magic molecule that can do whatever you fucking want it to do.
Yeah. And like I was getting sort of the, you know, Space 2001 vibe,
okay,
and sort of the Interstellar vibe from this because, you know, when Holden's floating around in that blue space,
yeah,
I hope it's not liquid space.
No, running into species 8-5, whatever the fuck.
So, like, when he's floating around in that, I started to kind of get a feeling of sort of those more trippy psychedelic things. And then when he has that vision, when he like connects the two electrodes and all of their memory flows through him somehow.
Yeah.
And he finds himself in that far off place and, you know, naked and looking at a sky full of blue holes and shit. Like, I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I feel like moving into season 4, they almost have to go back to Earth Belt Mars and less bullshit.
I know. Yeah. I mean, that's what I hope, because that stuff is just compelling on its own. All of that stuff is compelling completely by itself. I don't think you really need a fucking proto-molecule, but yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. I'm real curious to see what they're going to do with season 4.
I honestly feel like they don't really need one.
I mean, they probably don't. It's just, I don't know, but then it's hard to know what they're really going to do.
Because you kind of feel like the next step is like everybody has like sort of a gold rush for let's see what's out there. There's, you know, a few thousand interdimensional portals.
Yeah.
And there are all sorts of habitable worlds out there.
Yeah.
Like, what does that do? What does that do for Earth? What does that do to Mars?
Yeah.
That's trying so hard to be a new Earth, and it's not.
There's part of me that's like, there's part of me that sees potential in it because, right, the Star Trek route is, oh, well, we made contact with this alien species, so now we're all fucking magically united as one, right? Now we have a president of the world, and everybody just gets along. Whereas I feel like I don't know, this show at least might deal with it a little bit more interestingly, in that, like, there's a new species out there. We don't want to get fucked in the process of making friends with them. So I just feel like I feel like there might be some interesting territories of conflict to explore there that we haven't really seen other science fiction do. Because normally it's, oh, first contact. Now Earth is fine and united, and now it's just Earth and the humans versus everybody else or whatever.
Well, I'd be real interested to see how it works, particularly from the Martian perspective, because it's like Mars is trying so hard to be that new Earth, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be easier if we just packed up our bags and went to one of these ready-made Earths?
But then you got Martian pride, right? They built what they fucking built. You know, there's not going to be a lot of desire to want to leave that.
Yeah, but like, I mean, like that changes the whole like socio-political relationship between all of them.
Yeah.
And you have all these people that the top-down government on Earth is completely disserving.
Yeah.
You're like, well, why not let those people go and try to make a new life on another planet? Because wouldn't it be better to be like a 20th century farmer on some distant world than being, you know, homeless and crazy on the street?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's possible, but then the way this show goes, right, is then you've got a new culture out there that's developed. They're using, you know, well, Earth probably feels
it's going to take a while.
They're going to be like, no taxation without representation, dicks. And I don't care that you can warp to our fucking planet.
Well, yeah. And it'd be interesting. I mean, you almost kind of have to abandon the whole crew of the Rocinante to really explore that, because it's going to take several hundred years probably for that sort of like balkanization to occur.
Yeah.
And like, it would be interesting. You can almost guarantee that if Martians or Earthlings or whoever other Belters decide to like go out and try to colonize these other planets.
Yeah.
Well, at a certain point, what are the chances that they try to blow up the ring on their side so that you just can't get to them? It's like, just fuck off. I just want to be left alone.
I think that'd be a great story. And if any show can do it, like, it would be this show, because it would first invest a lot of time in its characters.
Yeah, but like I said, we have to kind of abandon the characters we already have.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
Which I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that either. I don't want to do that either. But
then again, I also don't want to be like, Amos and Alex get fucking boring because there's nothing going on.
Yeah, true.
I honestly found that whole storyline with the person who, you know, like the camera crew documentary.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, let me put it this way. Battlestar Galactica did this idea a lot better.
It did do it a lot better, yeah. Oh, man.
And
Lucy Lawless. Come on. But, yeah.
I actually really need to go back and watch that episode. That episode is so fucking good.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And I love the little things, like when Lucy Lawless asks Dwala, does this ever get any easier? And she just says, in this really like quietly mournful sort of tone, it only gets harder.
Yeah.
And it's just that whole, God damn it.
Yeah.
I wish there was a Wednesday Night Gentleman when that show was coming out.
I know. Just to prove that we're not like spiteful, hateful assholes, but yeah.
No, we're not spiteful, hateful assholes. We like this show. Even though we have made some unfavorable comparisons to another piece of shit that's currently on television.
Oh, man.
We like this show on its own merits.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
And honestly, I was going to say earlier, like this show probably takes better care of any of its characters since Battlestar Galactica or DS9.
Yeah. This is easily the best piece of science fiction television since Battlestar Galactica, and BSG was probably the best since DS9.
Unless we count.
I mean, I love
Star Trek. Star Trek Continues.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
But you know, like, yeah, they take great care of their characters on Battlestar Galactica, and this is very much kind of in the same wheelhouse of lower sci-fi, even though the blue space monster stuff gets a little silly.
Yeah.
The Cylons make a lot more sense.
They do. They do.
And the fact that the phone on the bridge of not the bridge, but it's the CIC.
Oh, I know.
Is a fucking phone.
It's a fucking phone.
Do you know that prop is actually derived from, I think they used a 1970s era, like radio.
Oh, really?
Phone.
That's pretty great.
That they used in like Vietnam.
That's a
They're
nice
like,
touch.
we're just going to repurpose this. It's going to be on the set. It's like, and that's another show. Like, damn it, Star Trek Discovery. Your characters do not need to be perfect.
No.
Like, let me describe to you how amazing Amos is.
Yeah.
Or let me describe how amazing, you know, any of the characters on Galactica are.
Yeah.
You can go to Starbuck.
Yep.
Saltai. Saltai is a miserable asshole who's in a bad relationship.
The most damaged relationship that's also the most fascinating relationship. Like,
and when I get choked up when his wife commits suicide, and Saltai's wife is a
oh my God.
She is terrible.
Oh my God, she's terrible, but he's terrible too. And like, they're both so fucking self-destructive that it just makes perfect sense that they love each other and that they're together. They both, I don't know. I love that fucking relationship so much.
But like, and Saltai's another character. Like, when the chips are on the line, he knows what to do.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's a fire raging in the Galactica, and he's like, you need to seal that bulkhead. You need to do it now.
Yeah.
You follow my orders. You know, it'll save the rest of the ship, even if it kills those people.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he's off duty, he is a mess.
Drunken fucking piece of shit. Yeah.
and when everybody's like, I feel really bad about Saul, and he's like, he fucking stares down, you know, Adama's kid, and he's like, you be a fucking man. Press that button. Damn it, I'm a Cylon. You gotta space me.
Fuck yeah.
Like, Discovery, you don't need perfect characters.
No, you don't.
In fact,
it's such a
perfect
disservice.
characters suck.
They really do. They really do. They're really uninteresting.
Amos is a psychological disaster. He's a murderer. He's got some sort of weird past in Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious and I kind of love.
Yeah.
Alex is a bad husband, a bad father.
Yep.
Jim is trying not to be, you know, a complete murderous asshole like the rest of his crew.
Yeah.
But he kind of wants to be because, you know, fuck it. Naomi is completely obsessed with her own little fantasies, and she goes and does whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Christian Avasarala, she's got all sorts of power trip issues, but she's trying to do the right thing for her people.
Yeah.
Kotyar is a spy. He's killed lots of people, but he owes a life debt, so he's going to do whatever's necessary to help people. Even like you get into Aaron Wright, right? The Secretary General that Avasarala serves under. He's a complete asshole, but you understand why he's doing the things that he's doing.
You know where he's coming from. Yeah.
And that just makes the characters better.
Yep.
It just really makes the characters better, and it'll make us willing to endure all sorts of nonsensical bullshit.
Yeah. You know, the Expanse might be able to pull off a space bear. Pilots a starship in a mushroom land.
What about a hamster? Space hamster?
Might be able to pull it off.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. Do you want to kind of like touch on what you're hoping for in season 4? Or is there anything that we brushed over on season 2 or 3?
Yeah, I mean, nothing in particular. I mean, I'm just hoping the show continues to show the same respect to its characters that it has throughout all of these seasons. I am more interested in where season 4 is going, now that we're kind of at least off the proto-molecule and the ancient alien civilization holds, I think, at least a little more promise from a dopey sci-fi angle. But honestly, as long as they stay true to these fucking characters, I'm completely on board, no matter what they show us.
Yeah, I'll be interested. I hope they do some exploration stuff.
Yeah,
and like that would be fun to go to other planets and maybe you see where ancient civilizations have died out or whatnot. That's a little bit more No Man's Sky than it is The Expanse.
Yeah.
But I mean, as long as we have the characters and they're, you know, sticking together and is, you know, such that they stick together normally.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have good adventures that honors their characters, then I'll be there with it, and we'll hopefully be reviewing The Expanse season 4 as it's coming out, or at least at the very end of it.
Definitely.
All right. Well, that sounds a little bit like podcast over. So that has been episode number 76 of the Wednesday Night Gentlemen Multimedia Empire official podcast. We promise not to do another 60 episodes before we talk about The Expanse again. Please give us a like if you've enjoyed this video. You know what? Fuck you. Do it even if you didn't. We'll see you again on the next episode of this podcast.
Bye-bye.